Welcome back to another episode of the Shout at the Devils podcast. I'm Daniel Amoia. I'm a Devils beat reporter for the Hockey Writers. I'm here alongside Justin Brady, who runs Devils Fanatics on Instagram. And the Devils got off essentially to as good of a start as you could have asked for. 4-1-0 to start the season, and almost shockingly, they have finally defeated the Dragon. They had not won 4 straight games in 1,006 days, dating back 3 seasons. And finally, it has happened. And it's not just that it happened, but the final 2 games of that were against the 2 Stanley Cup finalists from last season. Pretty remarkable stuff. Thursday, the home opener had the whole plaza outside and everything. The Rock was rocking. I mean, we said it last episode. Newark's a hockey town, and unfortunately, they haven't gotten enough of that playoff success to really show that on a national scale. But I mean, rally towels, everything going. You would have thought it was a playoff game, and the Devils responded to that, taking down the defending Cup champs 3-1. It was just a very impressive effort. Obviously, the Panthers were a little bit hindered. They were lost some of their key guys to injury. Matty Tkachuk, Alexander Barkov, just a few of them. But regardless, they're known as one of the deeper teams in the league, and the Devils were able to still take them down. And the Devils have injuries of their own, so it's not like the Panthers are the only ones in that boat. Just super impressive stuff. A lot of guys stood out that game. Most importantly, Jack Hughes. He started off a little slow. We talked last episode, but you knew it was a matter of time. He's just way too good. But then the question came Saturday. It's like, okay, the Devils found themselves in this position many times before last season. I believe they were 0-11-2 over the last 3 seasons following a 3-game win streak. I mean, that's almost impossible to do, especially when you're following a 3-game win streak and you're riding high momentum. It's just truly one of the more remarkable stats I've ever found. But Devils finally did it, taking down the Oilers. Jack Hughes once again. It seems like he can't score a goal that doesn't end up on a highlight reel. Like, can he just score a normal goal? But seriously, I mean, just otherworldly stuff. Connor Brown played with Connor McDavid, and he said yesterday after the game that Jack Hughes might be the best player in the league, skill wise. He said one of the best, if not the best. And like I said, for a guy playing with McDavid, it's a pretty wild comment. But we saw Wayne Gretzky say it a couple years back. There's something that the highest level people in the game are seeing in Jack Hughes, that they know if he can just stay healthy, he will be one of the best players in the league. I know ESPN's rankings recently had him at like 37 or something like that. I'm sorry. I think we all know Jack Hughes can be a top 10 player when he's in the league. I mean, he was behind Elias Pettersson, who had like 1 point in his first 4 or 5 games. But if Jack's healthy and he's playing like he has, that narrative is going to shift quickly, and he's going to skyrocket back up those rankings and everyone's rankings, not just ESPN. So super impressive stuff. It was 2-1, and it got a little dicey. It's like, are the Oilers going to storm back? And is that elusive fourth win still going to be an issue? But Connor Brown against his former team, I mean, he's been phenomenal this whole season, and the Devils' penalty kill as a whole has been great. But to come through with a shorthanded goal against that McDavid unit, that's just a massive thing. Here's the call from Matt Laughlin on the radio.
And here's a breakaway. Connor Brown, shorthanded, scores! Connor Brown, the shorty against his former team. It's 3-1.
I mean, just clutch. That's what everything the Devils struggled with last season: an inability to finish, a lack of depth scoring. It's very early, obviously, but we saw that overcame so far. And obviously, if that's going to continue, that would be a big thing. So the Devils are in a great spot right now. Obviously, like I said, extremely early, but 4-1-0 to start the season, and their gauntlet of a schedule. I mean, the October schedule came out and all the fans were like, this is going to be brutal. And it's been the exact opposite of brutal, minus the Carolina game, but they got their legs after that and have looked phenomenal. Justin, who or what has stood out to you in this early stretch?
So the thing that has impressed me the most is the Devils' penalty kill, just the special teams as a whole. The penalty kill has really stood out, 19 for 20, on the penalty kill so far this season. They've only surrendered 1 goal in these past 5 games. They've given up taken a lot of penalties, definitely, but they've been able to come through and kill those penalties off. And those 20 penalties, they've been able to score a shorthanded goal 2 times, one from Jesper Bratt in that Tampa Bay game, which was a big game that propelled the Devils to that win. And then the same thing in this game against Edmonton. Looked like Edmonton could tie the game, as you were saying, and then Connor Brown finds himself on a breakaway, and he finishes it, and against his former team as well, which has to be very sweet. Fun fact, Connor Brown has 3 goals this season. Connor McDavid has 0. So who's the better Connor? It's sarcasm. Please don't react to that like I'm serious. But yeah, Connor Brown's been amazing. The penalty kill has been thriving out there, and anytime you put up a 19 for 20 a stat line on the penalty kill, like the odds are you are going to win that hockey game. The power play's been much better since the first 2 games. Like, special teams has been winning Devils hockey games, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's a really good thing. Use that to your advantage, and it's been really impressive so far. Another thing I have to note, Jake Allen, he's not getting enough praise right now. In his 3 games, he's 2-0 because he left that game in Columbus early. He has a .934 save percentage, 1.8 goals against average, and he has a 1.46 goals saved above expected. Allen has really stood out and has been really impressive for the Devils, has been able to keep them in games, um, continuing to make the big save when the team needs it most. He's been yesterday against Edmonton. He was making saves out there that we haven't been seeing from Devils goalies in the past. Like, just like weird deflections that he's able to get a pad on, just everything. Allen has been terrific, and it's nice to have that reliable goalie when your main goalie's out, like Markstrom. Markstrom's going to be out for a couple weeks. We don't know his exact timeline, but it's good that you have Allen that you can rely on and feel comfortable with and say, oh, we could win with this goalie. He's basically a 1B goalie. Like, people say he's a backup. He's a 1B goalie. 1A, 1B, Markstrom, and Allen. So Allen's been great. And it's good that you have Nico Dawes. Like, thank goodness, we were saying last episode, thank goodness he cleared waivers. So look, you have a back-to-back coming Tuesday and Wednesday. Nico Dawes is going to be starting one of those games, and I feel totally comfortable with having him in net. So the Devils are in a very good place with their goaltending situation. Allen has been terrific. The defense has been playing pretty good overall. And then, as you said, Jack Hughes, he got to a little bit of a slow start, but none of us were worried. Like, we knew Jack Hughes was going to find his game eventually, and these last 2 games, like, he just looks like the best version of himself, honestly, in these last 6, 7 years.
He did it.
I
That was inevitable. That was so inevitable.
It was inevitable. I'm so sorry. but but he's looked amazing. Like, you cannot say otherwise. Like, he's just flying out there. He's on a whole other level. He has a motor on him, making plays on defense, forcing turnovers. Like that one play yesterday, like, he forced a turnover against Edmonton and then took a tripping was forced Edmonton to take a tripping penalty right after. Stuff like that changes the perplexion of a hockey game. He's doing everything out there, and it's not just him. Everyone else is really, all 4 lines are really chipping in. There's no weak line out there right now, which is a great thing. If you have 4 lines that all have a major role in the game, and it doesn't have to be scoring goals, but like, if they have an impact in the game, that's the recipe to success to winning hockey games.
Yes, certainly. I'm glad you brought up Jake Allen, because if you look last season, if you're a person who likes advanced stats, goals saved above expected per 60 minutes, Jake Allen was better than every goalie except 2, Connor Hellebuck and Anthony Stolars, who were obviously 2 of the elite netminders last season. There were, 70-something goalies below him? I mean, pretty remarkable stuff. And we see it this season. Like, Jake Allen could probably be a starter on like half the teams in the league. And I could even make an argument on more than half, maybe like 25 with the way he's played now. Obviously, he's older. Maybe he doesn't want that kind of workload. But for the Devils' sake, it works perfectly. They should be very, very, very grateful. I said this in the summer. If you see Jake Allen on the street, give him a fist bump. Say thank you so much for taking that team-friendly deal, because, I mean, it just completely changes things. All the positive stuff we're talking about, if the Devils have someone in net who's giving up soft goals and letting those leads get away, none of it matters. Losses are losses. Obviously, there would still be positive talking points, but it's not the same. When you have a goaltender who you can trust, it makes worlds of a difference, and it also takes pressure off the defense, off the forwards to know they could just go out and do their job, and they don't have to hold their breath every time. I mean, you look at these games, San Jose, for example, not to rag on the team that's on the bottom feeder right now, but Alex Nedeljkovic, Yaroslav Askarov. I mean, it seems like every Sharks game I watch, like the flukiest deflections or the goalies are caught out of the net and stuff like that piles onto a team. And now the Sharks just look defeated when they're playing, and it's only 6 games into the season. So I'm glad you brought that up. And look, obviously, it's unfortunate that Jacob Markstrom got hurt, right? You never want to see that. But teams are going to deal with adversity, and we could talk about the injury luck or the training staff, whatever, forever. That's irrelevant. Every team goes through injuries. And here's the big thing, and not that I ever wish injury on someone, but there's a talking point that I want to bring up here. The Florida Panthers, right? They have been known as the tough team, the team that stays healthy and beats up everyone else. They're losing they just lost their 2 best players right now. Does that mean they're a weak or soft team? No, it just means they got injured. It happens in the sport of hockey where you're standing on knife blades on frozen water. It's gonna happen. And yes, it's unfortunate that Jacob Markstrom went down, but that doesn't mean that the Devils are screwed forever or that every other player on the team is going to get hurt. I know Devils fans are scarred because of the past few seasons, and injuries have taken a toll much more than 95% of teams, maybe 100%. I'd have to look at the numbers. But the bottom line is that's just hockey. It happens, and you need to have the depth to be able to overcome that, like Florida has previously. But even Florida right now is struggling. I think they dropped 4 straight, just got blanked by the Sabres. It's tough when you're dealing with that caliber of injuries, even when you're the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. So just the narrative that teams have to be able to overcome every injury. If a guy like Jack Hughes or Nico Hischier goes down, no matter what team they're on, you're not replacing that level of talent. I mean, that's just being real. So it's unfortunate. Hopefully, for the Devils' sake, they don't have this really poor injury luck again, but most of it is just purely unlucky. Like Allen goes down with the cramps, and Markstrom has to come in cold, and he unfortunately gets hurt. Thankfully, it doesn't seem like it'll be too long. Keith said a couple weeks, but um, that's just hockey. It really is unfortunate, but it's gonna happen, and hopefully the luck turns for the better for the Devils this season. Also, want to add something that stood out to me. Dawson Mercer has looked night and day, and I know people are gonna look back to his season in 22-23 and be like, "Well, he scored 27 goals." For his whole career, he has essentially been the same player, about half a point per game, reliable, stays healthy, great on the penalty kill. And unfortunately, fortunately for him, I guess, and the Devils that season, but he had a month-long stretch where he scored 1.67 points per game. Now I said it. And that completely skewed his numbers. I mean, he was one of the best players in the NHL for a month out of nowhere and then went back to his former self. If you take that month away, he was the same player he has been his whole career that season. And he also was hot in the playoffs, so that also made people's expectations rise a little higher. But that even if he didn't take steps forward this season, he's still a player who is very reliable. He's a great middle six winger who stays healthy, which is very important, does a lot of the little things right. However, we've seen a little more of an offensive touch, and he's gelling really well. The Meyer Hischier Mercer line is kind of giving me flashbacks to that Tatar Hischier Mercer line from that season. But I think this line is just on pure offensive and defensive ability is better. So if Dawson Mercer can push that career total, and taking the 22-23 month-long hot stretch aside, if he could push that 0.5 points per game more to like 0.7s, I mean, that makes a big difference. That's another added offensive punch on top of guys like Timo Meyer has started off really hot. He's not waiting till March this year. Um, Jesper Brad and Jack Hughes just seem to continue to rise their game. They have the depth. They have Arseny Gritsyuk, who is, by the way, so due for his first NHL goal. It has to happen very soon. I would not be shocked if next episode it's happened. Dadonov, Connor Brown. I mean, there's just a lot of things to be happy about if you're a Devils fan. So that kind of brings me into my next point. Justin, do you think this is sustainable? And I'm kind of getting flashbacks to an episode we had last year where we said that at the Christmas break and then things really went downhill. But do you think this is sustainable? If not, why? If you do, why?
Overall for the season, it is sustainable, but I'm sure there's gonna be bumps in the road, no doubt about it. And I'm sure more injuries could happen in the future. Obviously, we hope not, but there's gonna be issues that the Devils can't see coming in the future. That's definitely gonna happen, bound to happen at some point. But overall, like just the way they're playing so cohesive together. I love that you brought up Mercer and Timo. I was gonna bring that up as well. Like if they're getting like that secondary scoring, like the fact that Timo Meyer's playing this level of hockey in October, like that's a big deal for the Devils. You want that type of Timo Meyer play for the whole season. You want that type of play from Dawson Mercer for the whole season. And then also you adding Connor Brown, who's really chipping in both offensively and especially defensively on the penalty kill. Like you're getting contributions from really every forward right now. And that's a big deal right now for the Devils. And this definitely is sustainable. They're playing a really great form of hockey. And like a few big things. First, they got that 4-game win streak curse off their backs. Like they don't have to worry about that right now. And that's a big deal right there. Second off, they've been scoring the first goal in games. Out of the last 3 out of 5 games, they scored the first goal. That's a big deal. That's something that they have struggled with over the last 2 years now. Now, coming up is another big test. Can they win both games in a back-to-back? And I'm not going to put the pressure on them because, like, you have Toronto, Minnesota. Those are 2 tough games against 2 very talented hockey teams. So I'm not going to say, like, oh, you have to win now. Like, you can't put the pressure on them like that this early in the season. But like, I would love to see them win both games in a back-to-back. That's something that they haven't done much really in the last couple years, like those lingering issues. So I've loved seeing like those lingering issues that have been getting to the team over the last couple years really just not exist anymore. Like the depth scoring as well. Like those problems do not exist over these last four games, over this 4-game win streak. And if they can keep it up or at least play close to that level, like that's a form of winning hockey. And especially special teams, like just keep killing penalties, take advantage of your power play opportunities when you get them. Try to be around like 20 to 30% on the power play. That's pretty good right there. So overall, everyone's playing well. Nothing really to complain about. Nothing bad about the Devils right now. And that's a great thing earlier on in the season. Stuff's gonna happen down the line, I'm sure, but overall, this hockey team looks really good, and they are a wagon right now. They're a wagon for right now. They're not Stanley Cup contenders. I'm not gonna go out and say that. I don't wanna jinx it like I did back in last December. But as of right now, they are a wagon and they are a team to be reckoned with. I love what Brendan Dillon said after the game. It's like he said something along the lines of like when teams play the Devils, that's a measuring stick for them. Basically saying that it's a big test when you play the Devils right now. Like it's not an easy game and it really tells you where your team's at if you are able to beat the Devils. The Devils are for real. They're a team that can beat absolutely anyone except for Carolina any given night. And yeah, obviously, like they're gonna have to figure out that issue at some point down the line. But overall, really good things from the team so far. I'm really impressed, and I think this play can be sustainable.
I certainly think it can be as well, but I would be hesitant to say that they definitely are a wagon. There's been obviously a lot of positive signs. I'll give you this. From last Christmas break, they are in a much better spot to become a wagon than they were at that point. But I, it's just so hard to tell. Anyone could get hot for a 4 or 5 game stretch. How is this going to go? Is Connor Brown going to be true depth scoring in terms of putting up possibly 15, 20 plus goals, or is he just on a heater right now? I mean, I think to years past, and not that Connor Brown is on the same level, he's a much better player, but John Sebastian D looked like he was going to be the answer to the Devils' depth scoring at one point, and obviously that was not the case. He was basically an AHL caliber player who got hot. Um, you've seen flashes from so many people over seasons. Marian Studenic. I could rattle off.
I,
Yeah,
I
go
got
ahead.
another good one. Brian Gibbons. He at one
Yeah,
point December, like in the month of December, he led the team in goals, and I don't think he scored another goal since December for the rest of the season.
So like exactly that's gonna happen, but what will it keep up? The Devils have finished a lot better than they have finished their chances compared to last season, and obviously that's a great sign. The Devils didn't really get positive finishing in any regard last season, but is that going to be sustainable, or is that going to come back down to earth? Um, and then there's a health question as well. Obviously, this is all assuming the Devils stay relatively healthy, because if they're losing key guys again, it's going to be a struggle regardless. But like I said, they're in a much better spot to do so. But regardless of anything else, I can say for certain, as long as they're relatively healthy, the Devils special teams department is in a spot where even if even strength they struggle for a while, they will keep them in games. And we saw that a lot last season. That makes a big difference. That's why the Devils were able to make the playoffs despite being one of the worst even strength teams for a very large chunk of the year. Um, their power play just has the capability to be lethal, and now it seems like after a while they're finally figuring out Timo Meier on the top power play unit. And this is a unit that was already, I think, second or third in the league last season. So if they get Timo clicking there too, I mean, this is a team that could have on talent alone could be mentioned up there with Edmonton's power play. And then their penalty kill as well. We talked about this coming into the season, so it's really no surprise. But adding guys like Brown, Glendening to a penalty kill unit that was second in the league last season, it was only going to get better. And we're just seeing that truly, truly elite penalty kill. So, like I said, the Devils can be a wagon, but in my eyes, it's way too early to say that. We need a much larger sample. But if you're a Devils fan, you just have to be happy with the positive signs, because obviously this is a fan base that's been pretty starved for winning. And I can't even say winning because they've won more so in the regular season the past few seasons compared to the years prior, but they want playoff success, and that has not came yet. So yeah, we're gonna see if that happens this season, but a lot of positive storylines to start. Have to be happy with it.
I would just add in these last 4 wins. Like, it's not like the Devils are just getting by. They're winning these games in very convincing fashion against 4 really good hockey teams, I would say. So that alone just tells you right there where the team's at. I feel like the team's at a much better place overall than they were last season. And obviously, like, they're gonna have to stay healthy. We know that. But overall, I feel really a lot better about this team than I did in years prior, even the 22-23 season. Like, I feel like if they like keep up this play, I feel like they are inbound for a much more deeper cup run than they were back in the 22-23 season. I feel like they can get far, but we're too early in the season to talk about that right now. But like, it's good to talk about like how like the team's off to a hot start. Like, it's good to get off to a hot start to the season, and in years past, like getting off to a great start has like made it better. Like, where it's like, oh, you can have those like kind of collapses mid-season and then find your game again eventually. That's like the benefit of really starting off well in the beginning of the season. But the big thing is they have to keep it up, because last year they started off 4-1 as well, and then they ended up being like 5-4-2 just like 5-6 games later. So it could quickly change. The narrative could quickly change. They could easily Tuesday, Wednesday could just turn into 2 losses, and they're 4-3 or 4-2-1, and then it's like, oh, it brings us fans, not you, Daniel, but us fans like down to earth a little bit, like, oh, maybe not. So like they gotta keep it up, obviously. Ideally win one of these games in the back to back. So looking forward to it. But overall, like, really good stuff from the Devils over this stretch so far.
Yeah, I'm just glad you said 5, 6 games this time and not 6, 7.
Yeah. We gotta stop with that. Oh my goodness.
But I just added I just want to add one thing Keith said too. He said we beat the Panthers and Oilers last year, and no one, something along the lines of, and no one got this excited. Like it's the fact that they were in a row that's making everyone obviously reasonably excited. But at the same time, like the Devils, they were a well above 500 team last season and got these type of wins. So I think it's just the magnitude of starting the season, all the new additions, and obviously that 4-game win streak, that elusive 4-game win streak that was hanging over their heads for 3 seasons. James Nichols reported, and I was there as well, when the camera stopped rolling and Brett Pesci was commenting on the streak, how it was parts of 3 seasons. 31 months exactly. He was like, 31 months? We suck. Obviously that was a joke, but it is a big thing to finally get that off their backs. And I don't think the players were looking as much into that as the media was or fans were. And obviously that's a good thing. The players just have to be focused on their job and getting better day in and day out. But it's still important to finally put that together, because the streak, whatever aside, good teams, elite teams, have to be able to string many wins together in a row and give themselves, like you said, Justin, that sort of cushion to where they're not fighting for their lives come March or April. They could kind of relax a bit. So, yeah. Any last things you have to add?
The Devils are playing good hockey. All is good. That's it.
Fair enough. We appreciate all your support. Really glad that we're kind of back on the road here. Support on the last episode was phenomenal. Congratulations to the winner of our ticket giveaway. We announced on our Instagram, and got to see a great game at the home opener. So that obviously makes us feel good. And yeah, we'll see you on the next episode. Appreciate the support again. If you have any feedback, comments, stuff like that, just let us know. We're excited to keep on rolling here at Shout at the Devils. This season, obviously, you all know we changed a lot, and it's just super exciting for us. So, we'll see how these next few games go. Obviously, we'll be continuing to have consistent uploads. We appreciate all the support, and see you on the next episode. Peace out.